Hello, Minecrafters and Redstoners. This is Natanus Likens. How y'all doing today? I'm all right. As you can tell, there was no intro as far as video. I did not put the animation there, so this is not a regular episode. There also was no portion of the ship, me being on the Diligent and everything. That wasn't there, obviously. Yeah, okay, we're ranting. Let's get into why we're here. And this is going to be a little bit of a talkie. A talkie. So, what are we here to talk about? First and foremost, life. Life in general. Um, from the last Minecraft related thing that I posted, you may know that life has kind of taken a turn. And I find myself in a situation where I can't really record as often as I would like to and cannot continue to put out videos. We will get back to that eventually. You may see on the list that there has been quite a few videos come out recently. That was while I was in between things and kind of frustrated and looking around for things to take care of my life situation. Unfortunately, those are kind of few and far between. And if you're wondering, I am looking for a new job. The YouTube thing is not going to work out fast enough for this to be a real thing. So, yeah, we are actively looking for work, and we're not having too good a luck on that. Uh, I haven't heard back from pretty much any real job offers as of yet. Um, we did have what sounded like a really good job lined up. However, there were aspects of it that sounded really sketchy. Like some of the emails I was getting back were not quite right. And then it got to a point where I was finally able to get a hold of somebody over at this place of employment, only to discover that, yeah, the person I was talking with was a scam artist. So, yeah, that's been the closest we have found to work, and I've been really frustrated and demo- demotivated to do anything since then. Well, here, what are we here to talk about? I'm going to break a rule, and that is that I try my best not to talk about HermitCraft. With that being said, there are several channels that exist that deal with HermitCraft on a daily basis, and nobody really bothers them. The hermits don't bother them, and they don't really bother the hermits. It does look like it's about to be night, so let's fly on down here. So, what specifically are we going to talk about? Well, while I may not have watched all of the episodes for reasons outside of life stuff, um, I am aware of the fact that the crossover is done with, and that the rift in Green's base is now closed. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. In part, the first and foremost thing, and the real reason why I want to bring that up, is the story of them going through the rift onto empires, and then some of the things that Rendog is doing with his Gigaverse. They either didn't really tell a decent story, or no story at all. And in many cases of the hermits, they just kind of were there on empires. There was no story. Um, or their story did not finish. For instance, Doc, M77, went there, he got sick in real life, and then never recorded another episode whatsoever. So this doesn't really fit in well with the overarching story, as based on that logic, he should technically still be on Empires, and as the rift has closed, he should technically be stuck over there. We never, or at least I never saw a lick of anything that suggested that he went back through the portal. As far as the portal or the rift, whichever you prefer to call it, is concerned, there are big plot holes involving that I just could not look over. First and foremost is the original 13 that went through it. Probably 4 or 5 of the hermits actually showed that the rift closed almost immediately after they went through it. Um, for both B and Ren the dog to then go through it made zero sense. The rift should have been closed by that point. So yeah, that didn't really jive well with me. I love the idea that they were trying to do a story, but if they're going to do a story, they need to do it right, and they just didn't. There was so many problems that I saw with it. The other thing that I did notice is once they were over there, they were just kind of there. They were there, they were interacting with all the people, and do not get me wrong, some of the interactions were amazing. I loved when Grian and Impulse trolled Pixel Riffs with the HermitCraft recap music. That was absolutely amazing. Seeing Tango and Solidarity interact was amazing, and all those were great. As far as the actual story, I did notice that none of the hermits were actively involved in any kind of story related to the rift. Really, the only hermit that was doing anything rift related was false. And that was her dealing with what I assume is her clone from one of the past seasons. I don't know. I didn't bother to look it up. Uh, yeah, but even then, that story just kind of went nowhere. Like it was building up to be something interesting. Like we didn't know which false was the real false, and if the fake one was evil or not. We just did not know. There was no indication of it. And then, they just kind of ended that. So, yeah, there were some interesting little tidbits within that story. So it could have gone either way on who is evil and who is good. But again, that story just kind of died. Like I don't know what they were thinking there. On the flip side of that, quite literally, the Empire's members, we had at least 4 or 5 of them that were actively looking at lore and story elements around the Rift. Um, and again, as far as the story on Empires, that has not ended. However, the crossover and any kind of story related to the Rift for a small portion has ended. I have not watched any of the Empires since the Hermits went back through either. There are real life reasons why I have not watched very many of any of their stuff since, which would have been about early December that I stopped watching pretty much everybody. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that the story just did not make sense. They just left it so wide open with so many plot holes, and we never really found out anything. Like, there was no revelations going on. We didn't learn where the rift came from, we didn't learn anything about that. And this does circle back around to what Rin the dog said in his podcast. So, if you haven't watched Rin's podcast, he explains the whole Gigaverse to those that don't know or have not seen his stuff before and don't know anything about it. It is kind of interesting because he goes into further detail that, as far as I know, has never been shown in any of his episodes. It's kind of odd that he says things that you're just like, now wait a minute, you never actually did that. Yeah, I found that kind of odd. I don't know what he was doing there, but for the most part, it all does fit together. It does all jive together. The problem I had with it is when he's explaining that any given SMP or single player world such as mine uh, is in Java, it is technically within the same universe. It is also its own star system, its own solar system, that is. Yeah, this directly contradicts what they were saying and some of the things that were supported with as far as the Rift. And even what Gemini Tay was saying that did feed right back into some of the things in my episodes. So I actually sent a message off to him on Twitter. I doubt I ever hear back from him, but it does directly contradict that story because they said they were. It effectively says that they went through a rift and entered a whole new universe on a whole new world. However, on Rin Dog's side, this is just another planet inside the same universe. Um, that is universe, not multiverse. Yeah. So I don't understand what he's doing there. It seems like there is a big disconnect between everybody on both sides, that is, HermitCraft and Empires, as to what that whole thing was other than a crossover. Because there really was no story involved. Um, and as far as the story itself, I mean, again, we don't know where the rift came from. I doubt that that's actually over and done with. They may bring in some details on that. And Rin the dog did make a comment that makes me wonder if he's going to go into more detail later on. But the fact of the matter is, they had too many things that just didn't fit together. Like, it's like we got 3 or 4 different puzzles and we're all trying to put together one puzzle, but it doesn't work if we're all using a different puzzle. The picture's either not going to fit together very well, or it's not going to make any sense if the pieces do fit together. Um, yeah. So I don't really know what they were trying to accomplish there. The story of season 8 being inside the Hermatrix actually fitted together a lot better than the story of the Rift. Um, it just feels like not everybody was on the same page. Some people weren't even trying, and then others just barely put out any content during that time. I'm looking at you, Zombie Cleo. I think she put out a grand 2 episodes throughout the entire crossover event. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about that. And I feel like if you got any comments or anything that I may have misunderstood, please, please, please put it down in the comments. Um, if I did misunderstand something or I missed something important, like maybe there was some kind of revelation in somebody's episode, let me know. Because, like I said, I did stop watching everybody on both sides around, I'm not exactly sure when, but around the beginning of December. There's some life reasons for that. Um, yeah, actually, it may have been a little bit earlier, maybe even in November when I stopped watching all of them. And there was another point, and I'm trying to think of what that point is, and we're going to have to go sleep again. So let me get in here and try to think about what it is that I actually missed. Because there was a detail that I noticed that I thought was really odd. Well, maybe it'll come back to me. There, there was some moments within the whole thing that they were doing with the crossover that really felt like they were echoing what I've been doing on my channel with my own story related to them. It just, it really had me hopeful that, this whole YouTube thing would actually work out, but, it may take a lot longer than I'm thinking. But yes, there were a bunch of moments happening that I felt like they were directly referencing stuff that I've said or done, and it just felt like it felt like on one end, um, that they were like kind of hinting at stuff that I've done, uh, uh, in very, very subtle ways that pretty much only I would notice. Um, yeah, I definitely felt that a lot. And the fact that nothing came of that is just, it's kind of heartbreaking, too, to be perfectly honest. I mean, we're all Minecrafters. Joining a big group like that would be amazing. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I did kind of build myself up on that. I will admit that. Uh, I always had in the back of my mind that being part of them would be like not a possibility, if that makes sense. The likelihood is too small. And with that little rant there, I actually did think about the other thing. Rin flat out said in his podcast that season 8 was a simulation. We all know this. And only season 8 was a simulation. Rin, if you see this, here's why I take issue with that being the case. So typically, they just start a new season. The Hermits do, all of them. They just start a new one, fresh start, doesn't really matter. However, season 8 to season 9 saw the first time that they did a story. And towards the end of that story, a few of the Hermits had different methods in which they left the server or the planet, however you want to say that. Um, and out of those people, two of them, their intro into season 9 was directly associated with the end of season 8. So canonically, because of these two hermits, season 9 should also still be in the Hermatrix. Now, who am I talking about? And what am I talking about? Okay, so flashback to the end of season 8. You had the Bodum crew, that was Pearlescent Moon, Grian, Mumbo, Impulse, and Scar. Their method of escaping Moon Big was that they were going to get into a rocket ship and then fall through the world, thus falling to the next world. Now, for the most part, all of them did not pay this back when starting season 9, except for Good Times with Scar. His intro into season 9 shows him falling from season 8 to season 9. Okay, and he's not the only one that did such a thing. The other example, and if there's more, please leave it in the comments below. These are the only two that I am aware of. The other example is false symmetry. If you recall in season 8, false symmetry built a ginormous eagle and is absolutely the most ridiculous and beautiful thing I have ever seen. But she built this enormous eagle, and according to her ending for season 8, she flew away, either inside or on the eagle. Doesn't matter to me which one you think. The point is, she left with the eagle inside of an air bubble. Now, because she did have to get blocks and everything to rebuild the eagle and everything, we're not going to include that. But the fact of the matter is that, according to how she sees it, she got to season 9 by riding on the eagle. So both Good Times with Scar and False Symmetry, canonically, left season 8, which was inside a computer simulation, and ended up on the planet for season 9. And it is never stated that they actually exited the Hermatrix by either one of these two. So, Ridden Dog, you might want to get with those two and clarify this. Because, as far as I'm concerned, and probably as far as a few other people are concerned, canonically, you're still inside the Hermatrix. Now, as we have not seen any of the other members, and according to Ridden Dog stuff, they did actually exit the Hermatrix and then went on to the next planet. There's just too many contradictions there. And while it is fine, like the Empire's crew, to have a single story, this works kind of like a D&D group, wherein, yes, your character has a backstory and all, but it should not directly interfere with another character. There's a lot of storytelling elements that I have said in several places, including the HermitCraft Reddit and on some of their Discord servers, which to those hermits that I was part of their Discord and ended up leaving, um, yeah, yeah, don't worry about it. Except for one of you, you actually, you actually, you know what? Never mind. I'm just going to keep that to myself. Uh, I didn't appreciate some treatment. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, so all this stuff combined, the whole story arc that they tried to do and really failed at doing just made no sense. And the fact that they didn't really give us any real story elements, like there was no real thing pulling the story together, and False felt like she was like carrying the whole story on her back, along with Pixel, Sausage, I think Catherine, and Ollie, because I believe those were the four. I think there was a fifth one that was involved with the Rift investigation group. But yeah, like the Hermits just kind of stopped. Like they instead of trying something different, they just went back to what they know. So they didn't even really try to tell the story. It's fine if the hermits feel like they just go back to square one and just do the same old all over again. Um, that's fine. I don't see a problem with that as a whole. It's the fact that when they do try to tell a story, either they don't all come together to tell the same story, or uh, you got a couple of different people that are telling a story that contradicts with the other people telling the story. Because, like I said, on one hand, we have both Good Times with Scar and False Symmetry, whose escape from season 8 to season 9 suggests that they are still in the Hermatrix, where on the other hand, you have Ren the dog saying that they did get out of the Hermatrix and this is in fact a new planet. Well, if that's the case, then how did False's eagle carry her through and how did Good Times with Scar fall through to the new planet? There's just too many things that contradict there. It feels like they were not all on the same page telling the same story. It Joe Hills tried to make an unimpressive joke about herding cats. herding cats in Minecraft actually is easy. Actually, herding cats is nearly impossible. Yeah, I wasn't impressed, Joe. I mean, from a guy that's building a pinball machine, you can hardly ever do anything that impresses me, to be perfectly honest. Why can't I get up here? But yeah, that's all that. Now, on the other hand, the rift did close, and that's what is in part bringing us back here. Um, Now, because it has been a while since I've been here, I don't know what the rift is doing. If their rift closed, what is ours doing? We need to go investigate our rift. Because it does seem like there was a connection, and then there also was not a connection. So, what is our rift doing? So, if there is a connection, then my rift should be closed. If there is no connection between us, like I've been saying this entire time, then my rift should be open. Yeah, yeah, the rift is still... The rift is open. And we have Skulk everywhere. And a present? Huh. Hello? From your secret Santa on the other side of the rift. Excuse me? On the other side of the rift? Okay, hang on. Their rift is closed. Who or what came through that and put this here? I didn't enter any kind of secret Santa thing. And they left their wool here. Um, I don't have... Six. Six should be enough. Let's go ahead and... What's in this? Like, Christmas is already over. But, I mean, we got a gift. Like, what is in here? Uh... There's definitely something inside. Is that what I think it is? Coal. I got a Christmas present full of coal. From who? I don't know what. That's 2 years in a row I've gotten coal for Christmas in Minecraft. All right, everybody. I'm out. You guys have a great day. Have a happy new year. and I hope you had a Merry Christmas. Leave me a message down in the comments below. And I'm thinking today, what was your Christmas present? What'd you get? Or what's your New Year's resolution? And I'll see you next time.